Let us begin with the sound that governs our existence. It is not the sound of the wind or the ocean or the beating of our own hearts. It is the sound of the alarm, that digital shriek that tears us out of the womb of sleep and thrusts us adrenaline spiking into the panic of the day. Before our feet even touch the cold floor, the program begins to run. It is a program we did not write, but one we execute with terrifying precision. The mental checklist scrolls behind our eyelids like the closing credits of a movie, but in reverse. Coffee, commute, email, meeting, deadline, gym, side hustle, networking, sleep, repeat. We wake up already behind. We wake up already in debt to the clock. We are running a race that we didn't sign up for, chasing a finish line that keeps moving, and we are terrified. Bone deep terrified that if we stop even for a second, we will fall off the edge of the world. We live in a culture that has weaponized the concept of potential. From the moment we are born, we are assessed, we are weighed, we are measured, we are graded. In the modern American system, a human being is not treated as a miracle. We are treated as a bundle of potential energy that must be converted into kinetic success. We are taught that life is a trajectory. It must always go up and to the right like a stock market chart. If you are not growing, you are dying. If you are not optimizing, you are failing. We go to school not to learn the mysteries of the universe, but to get grades. We get grades not to demonstrate wisdom, but to get into a good college. We go to college not to expand our consciousness, but to get a degree. We get a degree not to contribute to the human story, but to get a job. We get a job not to find purpose, but to get a promotion. We get the promotion to get the mortgage. We get the mortgage to get the house in the suburbs with the kitchen island and the 2-car garage. And then we stand in that kitchen surrounded by stainless steel appliances we are too tired to use, staring at a 401k statement, and we wonder why we feel a hole in the center of our chest. We wonder why the success we bought with our life force tastes like ash in our mouths. We have arrived at the destination, but we forgot to bring ourselves along for the ride. We are playing a game, and it is a very specific, very dangerous game. It is the game of becoming. The rules of this game state that you as you are right now in your natural, unedited state are not enough. You are a beta version. You are a draft. You are a fixer-upper. You need to be optimized. You need to be hacked. You need to be wealthier, thinner, happier, more productive, more mindful, more influential. The game tells us that happiness is a destination. It is a place called there. And we spend our entire lives, our entire bandwidth trying to get there. We tell ourselves the great American lie, the mantra of the dissatisfied: I'll be happy when I make 6 figures. I'll be happy when I lose 20 pounds. I'll be happy when I launch my startup. I'll be happy when I get verified on Instagram. I'll be happy when I retire. But notice what happens. This is the trick of the game. The moment you get there, the moment you achieve the goalpost moves. There becomes here, and here is boring. Here is normal. The dopamine hit fades in 20 minutes, so the mind immediately projects a new there on the horizon. Okay, I made 6 figures, but my neighbor makes 7. Okay, I lost the weight, but now I need to run a marathon. Okay, I have 1 million followers, but the algorithm changed. We are like donkeys chasing a carrot on a stick. We are running and running, sweating and straining, fueled by the anxiety of almost never realizing that the carrot is attached to our own collar. The mechanism of chasing is designed to prevent the catching. Because if we ever actually caught the carrot, if we ever actually felt successful and sat down, the economy would collapse. The entire machinery of our consumer society depends on us feeling incomplete. It depends on the hungry ghost within us that can never be filled. This is the tyranny of the hustle. We wear our exhaustion like a badge of honor. In the US, when you ask someone, "How are you?" the standard answer is busy. I'm so busy. We say it with a mix of complaint and pride. If we aren't busy, we feel guilty. If we aren't productive, we feel worthless. We have internalized the logic of the factory. We treat our bodies like machines and our minds like software. We drink energy drinks to override our natural fatigue. We take melatonin to override our natural wakefulness. We listen to podcasts at 2x speed because we are terrified of silence. We are optimizing ourselves to death. We are crushing it. But in reality, we are the ones being crushed. And let's look at the productivity dysmorphia we all suffer from. No matter how much we do at the end of the day, we feel like we didn't do enough. We look at our to-do list and we don't see the checked boxes. We see the unchecked ones. We go to sleep with a low-level hum of anxiety, a feeling that we are forgetting something, a feeling that we are falling behind. But falling behind who? Falling behind what? There is no race. There is no track. We are all just wandering through a mystery, pretending we have a map. We have created a culture of human doings instead of human beings. We value people for their utility, not their essence. When we meet someone at a party, the first question is always, what do you do? We are asking, what is your economic value? Where do you fit in the hierarchy? Are you above me or below me? We are terrified of the person who says, I just exist. That person is dangerous. That person breaks the simulation. And consider the comparison trap. We live in the age of the highlight reel. We open our phones and we are bombarded with the curated successes of strangers. We see the vacations in Tulum, the new Teslas, the perfect bodies, the passive income gurus telling us we are lazy if we don't have 5 streams of income. And we feel a deep, corrosive shame. We feel like we are failing at life, but we forget that we are comparing our behind the scenes, our messy, anxious, unedited reality with their trailer. We don't see their debt. We don't see their antidepressants. We don't see the arguments they had in the car before taking the selfie. We are jealous of holograms. But here is the secret that the game doesn't want you to know. You can stop playing. You can simply step off the board. To stop playing the game of success doesn't mean you become a bum. It doesn't mean you lie on the couch and rot. It doesn't mean you stop working or creating or building. It means you stop doing those things in order to become someone. It means you stop doing those things as a means to an end. It means you start doing things for the joy of the doing itself. Imagine a musician playing a song. Does the musician play the song to get to the end? Is the goal of the concert to play the final note as fast as possible? If that were true, the best conductor would be the one who finished the symphony in 2 minutes. No, the point of the music is the music. The point of the dance is the dance. You don't dance to get to a specific spot on the floor. You dance to enjoy the rhythm. But we live our lives as if the goal is the end. We are rushing through the music to get to the applause. We are rushing through the work to get to the retirement. We are rushing through the week to get to the weekend. We are wishing our lives away, waiting for a future that is just a concept in our minds. We need to talk about the void. Why do we keep running? Why are we so afraid to stop? Because we are terrified of what happens when the noise stops. We use busyness as a drug to numb our existential dread. If I am busy, I don't have to ask the big questions. If I am busy, I don't have to feel my grief. If I am busy, I don't have to look at my marriage. If I am busy, I exist. Silence is the enemy of the ego. In silence, the I begins to dissolve. In silence, we realize that all our titles, all our achievements, all our money cannot protect us from the truth of our mortality. So we fill the silence. We turn on the TV, we check email, we listen to music, we run, but stopping the game forces you to face yourself. It forces you to ask, who am I when I am not producing? And the answer is, you are the universe witnessing itself. You are a miracle of consciousness. You are a biological impossibility floating on a rock in infinite space. You do not need to earn your right to be here. You do not need to pay rent for your existence. The sun shines on you whether you are a CEO or unemployed. The rain falls on you whether you are famous or anonymous. The universe does not judge you by your quarterly earnings. Let's reframe the concept of mediocrity. In America, average is an insult. It means you gave up. It means you settled. We all want to be the main character. We all want to be exceptional. But statistically, that is impossible. By definition, most of us will be average. And that is beautiful. There is a profound freedom in embracing your own ordinariness. To be ordinary means you get to enjoy a cup of coffee without wondering if it's content. To be ordinary means you get to have a hobby just for fun without trying to monetize it. To be ordinary means you get to love your family, walk your dog, and watch the sunset, and that is enough. The pressure to be special is a heavy coat. Take it off. Feel the lightness of being just another human among humans. When you stop playing the game of success, you shift from ambition to inspiration. Ambition is ego-driven. It is grasping. It is, I need to achieve this so I can be worthy. It feels like pushing a boulder up a hill. Inspiration is spirit-driven. It is flowing. It is, I want to create this because it is beautiful, because it is fun, because it needs to exist. It feels like riding a river downstream. When you work from inspiration, you don't burn out. You don't need to hustle. You enter a state of flow. You are like a tree growing. The tree doesn't try to grow. It doesn't look at the other trees and worry about its market share. It doesn't stress about whether its branches are optimized. It just drinks the water, absorbs the sun, and expands. It grows because it is its nature to grow. It is effortless. This is the concept of wu-wei, effortless action. What would happen if you redefined success right now? What if success wasn't the number in your bank account, but the quality of your sleep? What if success wasn't the title on your business card, but the depth of your friendships? What if success wasn't how many people follow you, but how much you like yourself when you are alone? What if success was simply the ability to sit in a chair, drink a cup of coffee, and feel completely at peace, needing nothing else in that moment? The world tells us that enough is a bad word. The world tells us we always need more. More money, more space, more power, more followers, but more is a drug. The tolerance builds up. What thrilled you 5 years ago is your baseline today. You are running on a hedonistic treadmill, but there is a subversive power in saying, I have enough. I am enough. When you are enough, you become dangerous to the system. You cannot be manipulated. You cannot be sold things you don't need. You cannot be threatened with status anxiety. You are free. Let's talk about the legacy trap. We work ourselves to death because we want to leave a legacy. We want to be remembered. We want to carve our names into the stone of history. But look at history. Look at the billions of humans who came before us. They all had dreams. They all had worries. They all thought their lives were the most important thing in the world, and now they are dust. Their names are forgotten. Even the greatest emperors are just footnotes in a book that nobody reads. Even the billionaires of 100 years ago are forgotten. This sounds depressing, but it is actually the most liberating thought you can have. You are going to be forgotten. Your failures will be forgotten. Your successes will be forgotten. Your embarrassing moments will be forgotten. The awkward thing you said in the meeting will be forgotten. So why are you taking it all so seriously? Why are you stressing yourself into an early grave for a legacy that will dissolve like smoke? Why not just enjoy the ride? Why not just play? Life is not a business. Life is not a school. Life is a playground. Watch a child play. They build a sandcastle with total focus and passion. They work hard on it, but they know the tide is coming. They know it will be washed away. They don't build it for the legacy. They build it for the joy of building. And when the ocean washes it away, they laugh and build another one. We have forgotten how to be like that. We cling to our sandcastles. We build walls around them. We attack anyone who threatens them. We cry when the tide comes. We need to remember how to play. We need to remember that the sand is just sand. And the tide is just the tide. There is a quiet revolution happening in America right now. You can feel it. It's in the air. It's in the quiet quitting. It's in the great resignation. It's in the people moving to farms or living in vans or simply refusing to answer emails after 5 p.m. We are waking up. We are realizing that the promise was a lie. We were promised that if we worked hard, we would be happy. We worked hard. We are not happy. We are tired. So we are trying something new. We are trying being. Imagine a day where you didn't try to improve yourself. Imagine a day where you didn't try to learn anything, fix anything, or optimize anything. A day where you just existed. You woke up without an alarm. You ate when you were hungry. You walked outside and looked at the trees without trying to post them on Instagram. You talked to a friend without networking. Would that be a wasted day? The system says yes. The soul says no. The soul feeds on those moments. That is where the magic is. The magic is not on the stage. The magic is in the green room. The magic is in the spaces between the notes. We have permission to stop. We have permission to be ordinary. We have permission to be slow. We have permission to change our minds. We have permission to walk away from a career that looks good on paper, but feels like a prison in our chest. We have permission to disappoint people who only love us for what we can do for them. When we stop playing the game of success, we start playing the game of life. And the rules of the game of life are very simple. Breathe. Notice. Connect. Love. Let go. You are not a project to be managed. You are a mystery to be experienced. The resume virtues, the things you put on LinkedIn, are not the eulogy virtues, the things people will say at your funeral. Nobody will stand at your grave and say, "He was amazing at optimizing SEO," or "She responded to emails so quickly," or "He increased shareholder value by 15%. They will say, "He was kind. She was present. They made me feel seen. They knew how to laugh. They made great coffee." Build your life around the eulogy virtues, not the resume virtues. So, tomorrow morning when the alarm goes off, take a moment. Don't jump out of bed like a soldier going to war. Lay there. Feel the sheets. Look at the light coming through the window. Listen to the world waking up. Remind yourself, I am already here. I have already arrived. There is nowhere else to go. You don't need to conquer the world. The world is already yours. The game is over. You won. Now go play.